I was 8. We came to the refugee camp and waited 4 years for that process to take place for us to relocate here to the U.S. From what I remember at the age of 12.
Based on the limited information that we have, it appears that Ilhan Omar never obtained her U.S. citizenship. According to the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 2, a person who serves in the Congress has to have been 7 years a citizen of the United States. Now, the Omar family moved to the U.S. in 1995, and by law, refugees must be a lawful permanent resident for 5 years to be eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship. That would have been the year 2000 for her father. The limited sources that we have show that she became a citizen in 2000 when she was 17. The New York Times, AP News show that she was 17 when she became a citizen in 2000. The problem with that is that Ilhan Omar was not 17 in the year 2000. How do we know? Well, because numerous sources and her Minnesota legislative page show that her birth date was October 4th, 1981. Omar was not eligible to gain U.S. citizenship in 2000 as a minor. That is when she turned 19. So the immigration laws provide for 3 main mechanisms that a U.S. citizen or refugee parent can potentially use to seek citizenship for their child. The first one, acquisition of citizenship. If you or your spouse or both are United States citizens and your child was born abroad, this does not apply to Ilhan Omar because her parents were not U.S. citizens when she was born in Somalia. Number 2, derivation of citizenship. For children of refugees whose child turned 18 years old on or after February 27, 2001, and this does not apply, derivation of citizenship does not apply because she turned 19 in the year 2000. Number 3, application for citizenship under Section 322 of the Immigration and Naturalization Act. One parent is a U.S. citizen, usually by naturalization. Now, remember, her father could only apply for naturalization in the year 2000, and the child has to be under the age of 18, which she was not. So, number 3 does not apply to Ilhan Omar. It appears Ilhan Omar never obtained U.S. citizenship as an adult in the year 2000 when she was 19, and then legally eligible to apply and become a U.S. citizen. Ilhan Omar has not corrected the record. U.S. citizenship is a requirement to serve in the U.S. Congress, and the American people have a right to verify that U.S. citizenship. Naturalization records are only obtainable through a Freedom of Information Act request. Here's the catch. That request will not be answered unless Omar gives her permission for that request to be fulfilled. So, until Ilhan Omar provides proof of her U.S. citizenship, rather than thinking of her as a dual citizen, we will think of her as a Somali nationalist. Ilhan Omar, the American people have a right to know. We need verification that you actually obtained U.S. citizenship. I'm AJ Kern, and I approve this message.
But you believe that Ilhan Omar may have misrepresented her birth year, is that correct?
That's correct. First, you need to understand derivation of citizenship, and it requires a couple of things. Her father had to have naturalized, and she had to be a minor when he naturalized. So March 8th of 1995, her family came into the country. Her father had a 5-year waiting period. So March 8th of 2000, her father became eligible to apply for naturalization. But the problem with that is that her birth year of 1981, which she had on her Minnesota legislative page, her U.S. congressional page, Wikipedia, that would have made her 18 in 1999. And so in the year 2000, when her father was eligible, she was already 18. So the thing is that I realized this, and using an age calculator, I confirmed it. And I made a video that I posted on social media about her actually being 18 when her father became eligible to apply for naturalization. And a couple of days later, she contacted the Minnesota State Legislative Library to change her birth year to 1982. And I have the email, it's on my website. And she had let them know that she was going to correct her birth year on Wikipedia and her U.S. congressional page. And I find that this really blows a hole in her story, because I don't know about you, but I've never known anyone to change their birth year, especially once they've gone into Congress. But the next thing I did is I requested her father's naturalization records. And because you cannot request naturalization records on Ilhan Omar because she's still living, but you may request records on a refugee who is deceased. And so I did submit a request to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services in 2022. And I received a letter a year later on June 20th, 2023, that stated that they had done a thorough search of their database and used variations of his name, and he was not in the database. And they informed me that I could have the Department of Homeland Security also search their database, which I did. And then in September of 2023, I received a certificate of non-existence of record on her father, that they searched their database and he's not in the database. So she has two problems. One is her father doesn't seem to have ever naturalized. And two, with her original birth year, which is still in places that she couldn't have changed retroactively, is still 1981. And there's enough there that Congress should do their job, which is initiate a congressional inquiry. That would be what it takes to remove her and because no one has ever verified her citizenship, not the Minnesota Secretary of State, not the Federal Election Commission, and not Congress. And it's Congress's job, Article 1, Section 5, to verify the elections and that everyone is legitimately seated. In 2019, I had gone to the Minnesota Secretary of State's office, hoping to find out if they had verified Ilhan Omar's citizenship, and they had not. And I think a lot of people in Minnesota understand that the immigrant, the refugee, non-citizens who are foreign-born may go to a Secretary of State's office and obtain a driver's license. And when they do that, they also register to vote. So knowing that, I suspect that Ilhan Omar got her foot in the door that way, that she got her driver's license and registered to vote. And so when she went to run for state office, the state legislature, her citizenship was not verified. And then when she ran for federal office and filed, they said, well, she signed the affidavit and that's it. And there's no verification. So I believe there's actually a huge issue throughout this country of foreign-born individuals registering to vote. And the secretaries of state are not verifying their citizenship. And so even if we had voter ID, they'll be able to obtain that as well. No one is checking citizenship, and no one has verified Ilhan Omar's citizenship. Again, not the Secretary of State, not the Federal Election Commission, and not Congress. And it would take one member of Congress, it's pretty simple, to initiate a congressional inquiry, but none of them will do it. And so as far as I'm concerned, until someone can obtain the official records not from her, because as we know, documents can be doctored, and we need the official documents to ensure that we do not have a Somali nationalist sitting in Congress and fraudulently raising millions of dollars.
Deeply concerning, and she has already and publicly pledged her alliance to Somalia rather than the United States, constantly speaking at events and saying just that she's here to represent Somalia. So that would be a massive, massive issue. Now, AJ, I'm going to follow up on all of this and see what's going on here. Reach out to Immigration Services as well, because I think we need to 1,000% verify whether or not she is a U.S. citizen or not. That should be the top priority. I think it's crazy that, as you saw in the video, that it's not their job. They actually could possibly get in trouble for trying to verify this information. That should be the standard for us all across the country, regardless of who the politician is. Everyone should be verified as a U.S. citizen prior to being able to be sworn into office.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe, be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.